A city is burning. Not a village, not a fortress. A city of 500,000 people. It is the summer of 1942, and the most powerful army on Earth is about to collide with the most desperate defenders in history. What happened next would last 200 days and cost nearly 2 million lives. This is Stalingrad, a name that even decades later sends a chill through military historians. Two empires, two ideologies, one city that neither side could afford to lose. Hitler called it the key to destroying the Soviet Union. Stalin called it the line where the war would be decided. Both were right. Before the bombs, Stalingrad was a city. 500,000 people, factories, schools, theaters, families, one of the great industrial centers of the Soviet Union. Named after Stalin himself in 1925, a city that carried the weight of an ideology in its very name. To lose it was unthinkable, not just strategically, symbolically, and that is precisely why Hitler wanted it so badly. By mid-1942, Germany had conquered most of Europe. Operation Barbarossa had torn through Soviet territory. Millions were already dead. Then Hitler made a decision that would change everything. He would take Stalingrad, not for strategy alone, but to humiliate the man whose name the city bore. Personal, ideological, absolute. If you're the kind of person who wants to understand how history's most brutal battles were actually decided, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Front Archives. Hit the bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next. August 23rd, 1942. The Luftwaffe unleashes the largest single-day bombing raid of the entire Eastern Front. Over 1,000 aircraft. In hours, Stalingrad is rubble. But rubble, as the Soviets would discover, is a weapon. General Friedrich Paulus commands the German 6th Army. Over 300,000 soldiers, equipped with the finest military machine in the world. He expects the city to fall in days. What he gets instead is hell. Facing him, General Vasily Chuikov, commander of the Soviet 62nd Army. Chuikov's orders are simple. Hold the city at any cost. He chooses tactics that will define the entire battle. Fight so close to the Germans that their air support becomes useless. The Soviets call it hugging the enemy. The Germans call it a nightmare. Behind Chuikov's 62nd Army, there is only one thing. The Volga River, wide, freezing, and soon to be covered in ice. It is the only supply line, the only way reinforcements, ammunition, and food reach the defenders. And the Germans know it. They bomb the river, crossing day and night. Soviet soldiers cross under fire, in the dark, on rafts and small boats. Many don't make it to the other side. For the men of Stalingrad, there is no retreat. Behind them is only water, street by street, floor by floor, room by room. This is no longer a conventional battle. It is urban warfare at its most savage. Snipers control every intersection. Machine guns cover every alley. A soldier who crosses the wrong street lives for seconds. One building becomes legend. The grain elevator, a massive concrete silo on the southern edge of the city. It changes hands over a dozen times in a single week. Both sides understand what holding it means. It is a fortress made of grain, and men are dying by the hundreds to control it. There is a building the Germans want more than any other. Pavlov's house. A 4-story apartment block held by a small Soviet unit led by Sergeant Yakov Pavlov. For 58 days, fewer than 60 men hold this single building against relentless German attacks. Pavlov's house would kill more Germans than the fall of Paris, a myth born from mud, blood, and sheer refusal to die. In the ruins of Stalingrad, a new kind of warrior emerges. The sniper. Vasily Zaitsev of the Soviet 284th Division becomes a legend. Over 225 confirmed kills during the Battle of Stalingrad. The Germans send their best counter-sniper to find him. A duel within the war, a battle within the battle. The hunter becomes the hunted. With 300,000 men surrounded, Hitler makes a promise. The Luftwaffe will supply the 6th Army from the air. Field Marshal Göring guarantees it. He is wrong. The 6th Army needs 700 tons of supplies per day to survive. The Luftwaffe manages, on its best days, barely 100. And the Russian winter makes it worse. Temperatures drop to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Aircraft engines freeze on the ground. Runways disappear under blizzards. The air bridge collapses. And 300,000 men begin to die. Slowly, methodically, inevitably. November 19th, 1942. The Soviets launch Operation Uranus. 1 million soldiers, over 1,000 tanks. The plan: encircle the entire German 6th Army. In 72 hours, 300,000 German soldiers are trapped inside a frozen pocket of death. Paulus signals for permission to retreat. Hitler responds with 2 words: hold fast. What follows is a slow agony. The German 6th Army, surrounded, begins to starve. December temperatures drop to minus 40. Rations fall to a few hundred calories a day. Men eat their horses, then their boots. Christmas. 1942, inside the Stalingrad pocket, is the most desperate Christmas in history. And still, Paulus holds. By late January 1943, the pocket is collapsing. Soviet forces push in from all sides. German defensive lines shrink daily. There are no more rations, no more ammunition. Field hospitals overflow with men who will never be evacuated. Soldiers surrender in groups, then in hundreds. Paulus sends his final message to Hitler. He describes men dying in the streets, frozen, starving, out of everything. Hitler's response: promote Paulus to Field Marshal. No German Field Marshal had ever surrendered. The message was clear. Hitler expected him to die rather than surrender. Paulus chose differently. February 2nd, 1943. Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus, just promoted 1 day earlier, does what no German Field Marshal has ever done. He surrenders. 91,000 soldiers lay down their arms. They march into Soviet captivity. Of those 91,000, fewer than 6,000 will ever return home. The numbers are almost impossible to comprehend. Nearly 2 million casualties across both sides. Over 40,000 Soviet civilians killed in the city alone. Stalingrad is the single bloodiest battle in the history of human conflict. It is the moment the Second World War turns. From this point forward, Germany will only retreat. When the dust settled, the world had changed. Germany would never again hold the strategic initiative on the Eastern Front. Stalin declared Stalingrad a hero city. The defenders of Pavlov's house were awarded the Order of the Red Star. Sergeant Yakov Pavlov went home, and the name Stalingrad became something larger than any battle. It became proof that nothing, not even the most powerful war machine ever assembled, can break a city that refuses to fall. Stalingrad didn't just decide a battle, it decided a war, and maybe the fate of the entire world. If this is the kind of history that makes you stop and think, subscribe to Front Archives. We cover the battles that shaped civilization. Next time, we go to South Africa. It's 1879, 150 British soldiers, 4,000 Zulu warriors. It's called Rorke's Drift, and what happens next is almost impossible to believe. That video is right here. Don't miss it. History does not end. Neither does the archive. Subscribe to Front Archives and keep history alive.